A focus on short-term results and the absence of effective governance are a dangerous combination that dooms natural resources with ultimate collapse. The tragedy of the commons is an economics theory, according to which individuals, communities, and nations, acting independently and rationally following each one's self-interest, behave contrary to the whole group's long-term best interests by generating collective failure. This is particularly true when we consider natural resources and the environment, as many of today's challenges transcend generational and geographical boundaries. When actors seek to maximise their consumption or production of a scarce resource, thereby benefiting in the short term, the resource is threatened with ultimate collapse in the longer term. The shrinking of the Aral Sea, described as one of the greatest man-made environmental disasters in history, provides a stark example of such a tragedy. By 2007, it had shrunk to 10% of its original size. It was once the fourth largest inland body of water, with a surface area of 66,000 square kilometres. Its relatively swift destruction has been caused by irrigation and agricultural demands of bordering Central Asian states and the countries of the former Soviet Union. Individual policy decisions of these countries led to large irrigation projects with little regard for long-term or downstream impacts. This collective failure has meant that water levels have declined to the extent that what was once a sea is now just 3 lakes, 2 of which are too salty for fish. Thousands of jobs have been lost, as once thriving fishing fleets have disappeared and former shore towns have collapsed. Salt and toxic substances blown from dry seabeds are now reported to be causing significant health problems. While it may have seemed rational for an individual country to feed its population with irrigation water from the sea, too many countries have followed this path with disastrous effects. Overfishing is another example of the tragedy of the commons, as public fish stocks are exploited due to a lack of coordination among commercial fishing operations and the absence of effective governance of the high seas. Widespread overfishing began in the mid-20th century, as governments seeking to create jobs and incomes for fishing communities and develop thriving fishing industries passed favourable laws, including loans and subsidies, which encouraged the rise of large-scale industrial fishing operations. Global gross revenue from the market value of marine fisheries was conservatively estimated at an annual $80 to $85 billion in 2010. The global industry reached its peak harvest in 1989, yielding 90 million metric tons of catch. Since then, harvests have stagnated or declined, and, for some of the most highly demanded species, fisheries have reached the point of collapse. For sustainability to be achieved, some 65% of the boats now active will need to be retired, leading to the potential loss of jobs of up to 22 million people currently employed in the fishing industry. It may be rational for an individual to fish, but the current scale of fishing, driven by increasing individual and industrial competition, as well as rising income levels, is unsustainable. The rapid increase in global fishing has led to the decline of marine biodiversity, with ecosystem sustainability and ocean resilience also compromised. The United Nations, the World Trade Organization, the Marine Stewardship Council, and other international bodies are working to develop appropriate rules, standards, and intervention measures. Yet the global failure to anticipate the collective impact of large-scale commercial fishing operations before substantial damage was incurred provides a painful lesson. It is also a symptom of broader inaction on the environmental front. In 2010, the Global Biodiversity Outlook confirmed the world had failed to meet its target to achieve a significant reduction in the rate of biodiversity loss, and that tipping points destructive to human societies would only be avoided if effective and coordinated action is taken to reduce the multiple pressures being imposed on biodiversity. Negative examples, such as the Aral Sea and overfishing, serve to remind us of the old cliché that those who ignore history are destined to repeat it. The seemingly rational choices of individuals and countries in the short term frequently have severely negative effects when aggregated over the long term, leading to collective failure. As consumer power and freedom rise rapidly across the globe, the spillover effects of our interconnected behaviours also rise. The tragedy of the commons, a concept that was developed in relation to the commons shared by villagers, is now relevant in the national and world context as we inhabit a global village. Looking forward, fishing and farming practices, antibiotic resistance, fossil fuel usage, deforestation, overpopulation, and aquifer depletion are examples of the urgent need to balance short-term and longer-term interests and individual and communal rationality to ensure the sustainable collective outcomes that are necessary for the survival of humankind and other organisms on our planet.